Alright guys, so these are the notes for 8.5. It says up here, adding and subtracting rational expressions. So, as it says below that, when you add and subtract regular fractions, one of the necessary things you need is a least common denominator. Okay, and there's a couple number examples up here just to kind of refresh us from that. Least common denominators, you guys did this back in the day. 4 over 9 plus 7 over 18. There are 3 questions you want to ask when you're facing problems like this, and we need to remember these throughout the entire section. Question number 1, what's the common denominator? What's the common denom? There we go. That's our first question. Number 2, which side do we need to adjust? So is it the left side or the right side that we got to fix? And then number 3, how do we adjust it? How do we fix it? What do we need to do? Okay, so looking at the first example, what's the common denominator here? Our denominators are 9 and 18. Our common denominator is 18, and that is on the right side, and so we need to fix the left side and make it 18 by multiplying by 2. So I'm going to take the fraction, I'm going to multiply it by 2. When you multiply fractions, you multiply top and bottom. So this is going to turn into 8 over 18 plus 7 over 18. Now we can just add that straight across. Since we have the same denominator, this becomes 8 plus 7 over 18, so 15 over 18. And then actually that can go one step further and simplify to 5 over 6. Okay, that's the first one. Second one, 3/7 plus 8/35. Okay, we're asking ourselves the same 3 questions. What's the common denominator here? Well, for this one, I would say that'd be 35. We want to get it to be that. So which side do we have to adjust? Well, we're going to have to fix the left side here, and we're going to do it by multiplying by 5. If we multiply the the top and the bottom by 5, that's going to take 3/7 up to 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 7 is 35, plus 8 over 35. So 15/35 plus 8/35 is 23/35. So there we go. Alright, those are the first 2, just to get us warmed up. Just remember common denominators. Let's go down to some rational expressions here. Same concept, alright? You want to ask yourself the same 3 questions. Remember, number 1, what's the common denominator? Number 2, which side do we adjust? And number 3, how do we adjust it? So with a problem like this, in the first example, you have 3x plus 2x minus 5 over 4x. What is our common denom? Common denom. I like that little expression. For this problem, it's going to be 4x. We want that to be our common denominator. So which side do we need to adjust? So we need to adjust the left side. And excuse me. What do we need to do? We're going to have to multiply the left side by 4. Obviously, if you look at the left side, the denominator there is x. So multiplying that by 4 will take us to 4x. When we multiply the left side here, this left side by 4, we're going to get 12 on top and 4x on bottom. So our expression should turn into 12 over 4x plus 2x minus 5 over 4x. Everything else stays the same. We didn't touch the right side at all. Now we're just going to add them together. So we're going to put it all over one fraction, and we're going to add the top. So it's 12 plus 2x minus 5. And if there's some like terms that we can combine, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm looking at 12 and minus 5. And that's going to give us 7 plus 2x over 4x. That is our simplified answer. Now, sometimes you might want to ask yourself, can you factor that or simplify that anymore? The answer here is no. There's one more thing we have to be aware of, and that's domain restrictions. In this, the only thing that's going to cause us problems in the denominator is if x is equal to 0. So our denominator is just that, real numbers not equal to 0. Okay. The next one, we have x over x plus 1 plus 4x plus 7 over x times x minus 1. Alright, again, it looks a little overwhelming, but all you got to do is focus on the denominators. What do we want our common denominator to be? So I'll look at both sides. On the left I have x minus 1. On the right I have x times x minus 1. On the right hand side, that has what we want our common denominator to look like. X times x minus 1. So that's what I'm trying to get to. On the left side then, I'm going to need to adjust it. So I'm going to adjust the left side, and I'm going to adjust it by multiplying by x. The reason I want to multiply the entire left side by x is because that'll match up the denominators. It'll make the x minus 1 equal to x times x minus 1. So when I multiply the left side by x, I will get an x squared on top, and I get that common denominator on bottom that I was looking for. Everything on the right stays the same. And so now we're looking at this, x squared over x times x minus 1 plus 4x plus 7 over x times x minus 1. So let's combine our like terms now. On the bottom, we still have x times x minus 1, right? Same denominator, just combines into 1. Now on top, we get x squared plus 4x plus 7. Okay. Can that be reduced at all? Can we factor anything here? Well, bottom's already factored for us. The top, you might look at that and try to factor, but you cannot. This is one where it will not factor down. Now, we got to talk about domain restrictions. All real numbers except what? Should have two of them. On the bottom we have an x and an x minus 1, so that tells us that 0 and 1 are the domain restrictions here. Let's look at the next one. X plus 1 over x minus 1 plus negative 2 over x squared minus x. Alright, so first thing that jumps out to me here, okay, again, hopefully we're in the habit of this from the last section, is factoring. So on the left, x plus 1 over x minus 1. Nothing changes there. But on the right side, I can factor this bottom by pulling out a GCF. And when I think of x squared minus x as x times x minus 1, that's going to help me answer my first question, which is what's the common denominator? For this problem, our common denominator again needs to be x times x minus 1. So that means we're going to have to adjust the left side once again. And in order to get those to match up, we're going to have to multiply the left side by x. So let's go through that. Let's multiply the left side of this by x. So that means the top, I'm going to get x times x plus 1. On bottom, I got x times x minus 1. Now the other side I'm looking at is minus 2 on top. And there's that x times x minus 1 on bottom. Okay. So let's combine all this into 1 since we have a common denominator now. So we have one fraction. Now the top, okay, there's a lot going on here. I have x times x plus 1, and then I have a minus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and make this x times x plus 1. And then we've got minus 2. Okay. Now, the top here, we can do some more stuff with this. I'm actually going to turn this into a quadratic and rewrite it. You're going to see what I'm talking about here in a second. The reason I'm doing that is because it's going to make things simplify in the long haul. This becomes x squared plus x minus 2. And then on bottom, we still got our x and x minus 1. Now, like I said, that top part, that can factor down now. Hopefully you look at that, it's a quadratic, and that's actually going to break down into, I'm going to jump over here, we're going to get x plus 2 times x minus 1 divided by x times x minus 1. So yes, we can factor the top here. And that helps us because you can see what's going to cancel here, right? X minus 1 and x minus 1. So that leaves us with our final answer of x plus 2 over x. Domain restrictions here. We can't have anything of 0 or 1. So real numbers not equal to 0 or 1. Okay. All right, let's do that last one there on this page. So we got x over x minus 1 plus 2x minus 1 over x squared minus 3x plus 2. All right, so again, right off the bat, I want to try and factor when possible, which in this case is going to be the bottom part of that second fraction. So the left side, let's just keep that the same. We don't need to touch that just yet. Even the top side of the right, we don't need to touch that yet either. We'll keep it as 2x minus 1. The bottom, however, we can factor that down into x minus 2 times x minus 1. Now we can look at both fractions, and hopefully you can see what the common denominator needs to be. The common denom. On the left side, all we have is x minus 1. But on the right side, we've got x minus 1 times x minus 2. So that is what our common denominator is going to be. X minus 2 times x minus 1. So that means we need to take the left side here to get it to match up. We need to multiply the left side by x minus 2. And we're going to do that right over here. And I know this seems like a lot, but it's the same process here, guys. We haven't done anything different. We've been following the same steps that we've been doing all along. I'm just drawing that to divide a little bit here, okay? So let's do that. When I multiply the left side by x minus 2, there's my top, and here's my bottom. And we are going to add to that what's on the right side, which is 2x minus 1 over that same thing, x minus 1, x minus 2. Okay. Whew. I know this is a lot. Hang with me here, guys. Hang in there. We've got some work to do. Trying to extend the page. There we go. Now the bottom, we can combine that all into 1. So we're going to get our x minus 1 and our x minus 2. On top now, I'm going to combine everything into 1. I'm going to go ahead and distribute on the left, giving me x squared minus 2x. And then I'm going to combine to that the positive 2x and the negative 1. Now, I don't know if it jumps out to you guys, but I see right away that that negative 2x and positive 2x that I just wrote, those are going to cancel each other out. So now we're looking at x squared minus 1 on top over the same thing on bottom, x minus 1, x minus 2. On the top, can we factor it? This is a difference of squares. So this becomes x plus 1, x minus 1 over x minus 1, x minus 2. Okay, so when we factor that, now we're going to see that the x minus 1's cancel. See you later, leaving us with x plus 1 over x minus 2. Man, that was a lot. Domain not equal to 1 and negative 2. Or sorry, that should be positive 2. 1 and positive 2. Okay? All right. That's the first part of the notes.